I had a realization recently that in my day job, I have a part-time job as a marketing manager in a shopping center locally. And I had a realization that my job is really easy because I know what I'm doing, I know who I'm serving, and I know why I'm there. I can go into my day already knowing what I'm meant to do and execute, right? But when I reflected on what I was doing in my business, I was very much overcomplicating and confusing myself about what I'm actually doing, who I'm serving, what I need to do every day to actually be working in my business. And so it occurred to me that maybe I needed to put my marketer hat on for a minute in my own business and look at what that would look like if I accepted a job in my business and my employer was the universe. Because honestly, as a soul led business owner, that is what's happening, right? I have been called to do this work that has come through from the universe, from my guides, from the Akashic Records, from my soul contract, all of the places. And here I am putting this work, this job out into the world because I'm feeling called. Hi, if you don't know me, I am Bree. I am the host of Wepreneur Society, a school community where you can find all of your beautiful people who are doing the same or similar work to you, hypnotherapists, readers, coaches, healers, all the people that are here to transform and do deep work with people. And maybe you're feeling like you want your turn to do that work as well. So let me get into this presentation. I want to walk you through what I realized. This is from a journaling session. And then I decided, why don't I put this into a little bit of a slideshow, record a video and share what I was thinking and see if that resonates with you. So let's talk about this. So these are 5 different principles or 5 principles that I've learned from my career in marketing as a marketing manager and in my history and my past experiences in careers and my business. And then we're just applying the soul-led business lens to it all, right? So let's get into it. Here's what I realized or had the realization that my customer journey already exists. I just hadn't quantified it in a way that I knew as a marketer. I can do this stuff day in, day out to other people, but when it comes to my own self and my own work, it's really hard for me. So what I ended up doing was voice noting all of my journaling and ended up landing on this realization with the help of AI to bring it all together. So the customer journey exists for me, and I think it'll look very similar for you as well. So when I was looking at who I'm working with in my day job, I am supporting local business owners in the shopping center to attract people to their business and to spend in store, right? That's in a nutshell what I'm doing. I'm doing that through like activations and events and campaigns to draw attention to it. So if I think about the awareness, people are aware of the brand, of the shopping center, of the concept, but it's not until visitation when they actually come into the center and experience what we have to offer, whether it's as a community kind of space or as individual stores. And then what's really important is to have that first spend in store, that first opportunity for someone to spend a couple of dollars, 50, 100, 200, whatever it looks like in store and at least once. And then it's the shop owner's responsibility to generate repeat spend, getting people to come back and spend again. That might look like having a loyalty card where they get stamps when they buy an extra coffee, all that sort of stuff. And then after that, we want to generate loyal spenders, people that come back again and again. So when I look at that concept as a kind of strategy for our customer journey and apply it to the full business lens, this is what it looks like to me. So awareness is when someone comes across my brand or my personal brand and understands what I'm here for. They get what I'm doing. They might see something on social media. They might hear me talk on a podcast or just somehow land on my website. Maybe they're Googling and then that's where they land. Maybe they find me through the discovery on school, like they're searching for something, or they see me comment on a post in school and they go down a little bit of a, who's this person? What do they do? That kind of thing. So they're aware of me. They're aware of my brand or my business or my personal brand. Then visitation looks like landing on my sales page or my landing pages or my about page, maybe looking through all of my videos on Instagram or YouTube, like visiting the space, getting a bit of the absorption of who I am and what I'm about. But it's not until we get that first spend from them when people really invest, and not just financially invest, but like emotionally and intellectually invest. So it can look like spending the first dollar, but it also can look like providing an email address. That is a spend in the sense of someone is investing their energy into you in some way. So then after that, the repeat spend looks like getting them to purchase again or take the next step if they have already provided an email address, getting them to pay with money for the first time. And then we want to get them coming back again and again and again and again. And that's when we turn people into loyal customers. So for me, when I started to realize this is the customer journey and how my business applies to it, I realized that I was doing this already, that I was having people become aware of me, visiting and spending, but I was not doing as good a job with the repeat and the loyal spending. So that's where my focus is going to go moving forward. I don't have an awareness problem. I don't have a visitation problem. And I don't really have a first spend problem. People will really easily give me their first dollar or their email address. It's not been an issue for me in the past. But getting repeat purchases and people being like, of course I need to buy, those haven't landed as easily. So that's where my focus goes. And I think that this will sound familiar to you. So I want you to think about like the 5 stages that your people, that a stranger takes to become your most loyal client. So look at those 5 layers and what do they need to do to get to each stage? What does awareness look like for you? What does visitation look like for you? What does the first, repeat, and third or recurring spend look like when they become a loyal customer? And where does your current content live in that funnel? So most of us are really heavy on awareness, getting people at the top of the funnel, getting them aware of us is really where we spend a lot of our energy. And then we're light on everything else. And that is absolutely my example. Now I want to really reward the people that are already in my orbit, already in my space, with more value and more perks for being in the space. And then what is the one stage where people drop off and never come back? And so that is the gap to close first. So for me, again, it's the repeat and loyal customer that I really need to work on closing the gap on. So the takeaway from this is the funnel already exists in your mind. You probably already have it. You just haven't crystallized it or clarified it. So your job is to build the bridge between each stage. Okay. Let's get into the next part. So the next part that I realized was we have 3 yeses. So this kind of expands on what we were already talking about with the first spend, the repeat spend, and then the regular spend. So our first yes is someone that's signing up for a freebie or the $7 thing or the $17 thing or anything like that. So it's not about getting the yes once. That's not the goal. We don't want to just get one person to sign up once, but their main focus is to get them to sign up for something for free and then not have anything available from the back end. But at the same time, we need to be clear about how we're presenting that first opportunity. So the first yes looks like something that's tasty, fun, and easy. So it tastes good to them. It's fun and easy for them to execute or experience. The second yes, when we have repeat customers, that person is still hungry. So they had something, you gave them something to eat, but they're still hungry. They haven't quite satisfied their appetite. it feels too fun to leave for them to leave the space. It's starting to build. The fun is really getting there. And then the third yes is the recurring customer or the loyal customer, the one that will just keep spending over and over again with no question. They're an always yes. So it's become their lifestyle. Being in your orbit or being in your community or purchasing your offers, watching your videos, that has become how they identify themselves. It becomes their identity and their lifestyle. And I'm sure as I'm saying this right now, you can think of people who are like that for you. And so we need to work on getting people in that space for you as much as for me as well. And then those sorts of people would just never say no to an offer. Or if they're saying no, it's, I just don't have the money for that right now, but I would so want to buy that. And those are the types of customers that we really want to be drawing people in. And this is why it becomes, these offers are like an ecosystem. We can't have just one without the other. We need to have these other ways for people to purchase and continue to swirl with us. So for my example, I kept asking myself, like, how do I get clients when actually I already had clients? I already have people in that first yes space. I just hadn't thought about how to earn the second yes or the third or the recurring or the loyal yes, because each yes is a different conversation. It's having an elevated conversation with people. And yeah, it's clear that a lot of my focus has been on getting the emails, getting the signups, getting the first dollar spend, when actually we need to transition the people that are already in my space to other things. So now it's your turn. Where are you leaving some yeses on the table? So what does your first yes offer feel like? Is it genuinely tasty and easy for someone to go through? Or are you asking too much of them too soon? Have you given them too much because you want to over deliver on the value? That can actually be a detriment because you're overwhelming someone. They either don't do it or they do everything that you say they need to do and they're, oh, my problem's solved, moved on. So we've got to have a little bit of appetite still floating around in the background, and it's still got a little bit of hunger there for it. After someone says yes once, what happens next? What do you do? How do you transition them? Do you have a clear, natural next step? Or does it go quiet? Do you have offers that you can transition people to after the first purchase? And this doesn't have to be like a convoluted funnel where they buy one thing, which then upgrades them, like upsells them to the next thing, which then upsells. Like it doesn't have to look like that, but you do still need to have an offer that you know that person's going to transition into. And then 3, who in your world has said yes once, but then disappeared? What do you think would bring them back around for a second yes? Because anyone that's spent with you already is invested and a lot easier to get them to spend again than someone completely cold to you, fresh on your email list, fresh from Facebook ads, whatever way you're connecting with them. It's going to take longer for you to transition them. However, you might already have, and I would have a guess that you already have people that you've worked with before that have paid you $1 to $5,000, whatever that range looks like, that are willing to spend again. And it doesn't mean you need to give them the same offer they spent before or bought before. They may have also transitioned to a different need from you, and they may still want something from you, but they need it at a different stage. They're at a different stage of their life or their business, so they need something different from you. Okay, so your takeaway is you don't convert once, you earn 3 different emotional commitments. Each of them are deeper than the last. All right, your audience. So for the most part, the people that are in my space are going to be people that are helpers who actually want to or need to transition into more of an initiator. They're actually people that are ready to lead. They just haven't claimed it yet. Whereas in the past, or maybe currently before the identity upgrades happened, they are people that watch other people transform. So watching them because they've created that transformation for themselves. They've helped them to have that transformation, but you haven't actually claimed your own transformation yet. So that's who my people are. But I would have a guess that a lot of your people are also someone that needs to transition. And this can be just an identity shift that you need to identify yourself within your business. And this could just be like, use this as an example. But I would say that a lot of people that you work with, the people that you're calling in, are also helpers needing to become initiators. Because when you're in a helper kind of mindset, you're really just focusing on the quick win, the action step, the thing that's going to get them, the thing that they came to you with. However, if we can transition into thinking more like an initiator, where you are initiating the transformation and not being the person that is who they rely on to come to for the answers, they can be empowered from within to receive the answers and receive the guidance from your methodologies and your frameworks. But they don't actually need you to do everything. And the reason why we don't want to be needed in that way is because we don't want to create dependency within our clients, but also we don't want to be creating like they always have to get on a one-to-one call with me in order for me to have this action, have this activity completed or this action completed for them. We want them to be able to do this work for themselves with your guidance through group containers, through offers that can be scaled. We don't need to so much be concerned about scaling right away, but we do need to have our people transition to being able to do things through your guidance in their own time, in their own way. So my example is my audience are coaches, healers, hypnotherapists who are facilitating transformations for everyone else, but they're still waiting for their own turn. They're waiting for their own identity shift to make that change within themselves, to receive the transformation that they're giving other people. That's the sort of work that I do. And this is led by soul contract work, past life work, future self work, parallel life work, all of these sorts of things that I do with people in the Akashic Records and within other frameworks as well. This is the sort of stuff that I do, and my people need to go from helping other people achieve these goals for themselves and be really relied upon to being more empowered and empowering their clients a lot more as well. So now it's your turn to look at the differences. Who are you really talking to? So I want you to think about, what transformation does your ideal client enable for others, and what version of that do you quietly want for themselves? Number 2, how are you speaking to where they are now? Are you speaking to, for example, the helper who's overwhelmed and unclear, or where they want to be as an initiator, as a clear-minded individual and someone that's leading? Now, I will say you don't have to necessarily only speak to one or the other, but I want you to make sure you're speaking to both at any time. And what I mean by that is, if you only ever focus on speaking to people where they are now in their pain, you're only going to be talking to people who are motivated by moving away from their pain. Versus if you only ever speak to people who are aspirational and looking forward towards their goals, you're only going to speak to people who are moving towards something. So we have, as a community, as a society, we have different ways of processing how we deal with things. And there are people that deal with things by moving away from the problem, the pain points kind of marketing angle. And then we have people who are focused on moving towards something and being drawn towards it. And that's like the aspirational marketing. And you need to talk to both in order to cover both concepts. But that is saying, it's like when you think about when you're speaking to someone in a niche, in like you want to be really specific and really clear about who you are working with. So if you actually don't want to talk to people who are focused around their pain points, that are, like stuck in a situation, then you're not going to want to talk to people about where they are right now. You need to then clearly articulate that you are aspirationally supportive of where they're going. So you can talk to both perspectives unless you're trying to move away from speaking to the pain points and things like that. And this, I know this is like contradictory, but it's very unique in your own way that you feel you are drawn to work. So for me, in my right now, I'm not necessarily going to be talking to the people in the pain or to their pain. I'm talking to where they want to go, who they want to be, an aspirational type of mindset. We're talking to the identity that they're stepping into. And that's just because of the type of people I want to draw into my world. It will be different for you. And I just wanted to give you that kind of framework to consider in all of this. So number 3 is, what identity shift happens for someone when they work with you? So I want you to think about finishing this sentence. They come in as, and they left as blank. And so see how that kind of flows for you. So your takeaway here is that your work is an identity upgrade. You're shifting who they believe themselves to be. So the work you're doing with people is going to be upgrading their identity. That is what you're doing, and how you need to start thinking is in that framework. Okay, so next up is loyalty. So we're going to swing back around to that funnel of like when we are getting people into that loyal space. So people stay in your space, in your orbit, because of who they become, not what they buy. They don't think of like your offer when they think about the transformation. They think about how you have supported them to make that transformation and how you have caused that transformation from within. So again, we go around in this animation. You can see we have the different circles in order to get to the loyal space. So we have awareness, let's select that customer journey again. We have awareness when they find you. We have visitation when they keep returning. Then we have the first spend, that first yes. Then we have repeat. They're still hungry. They still need something from you. And then we have the loyalty. So when they really identify within themselves with your brand identity and brand mission and values and, you know, what you're here to do, they connect deeply with that, and they want to, it's not so much like a parasocial kind of relationship, but it can be. This is when people say, I just want to be in your orbit. I just want to be in your energy. But it's deeper than that. It's also about the transformation that you're making within those people as well. So for me, my example would be that I already have people spending with me. I've said that before, but my real job is to make them feel like workpreneur is a part of who they are, that they actually identify as workpreneurs. That isn't something that I have marketed yet. I think when I created the brand identity, this was in the back of my mind that I wanted people to say they're a woopreneur, right? And like, this is where the merch comes in and all that sort of stuff, big sky, big thinking things. But ultimately, when people say that they're a woopreneur, they're not just saying that is their kind of like their role. They're saying they identify as part of my space, my community, and the people around them. They connect with everyone who also says they're a woopreneur. If you think about other labels we put on ourselves, introvert, autistic, ADHD, when you see someone else that says, I'm an introvert or I have whatever, we instantly have a connection or a resonance between each other. And that is what we need to build people towards in our loyalty, in our brand loyalty. As I said before, it's not just something that they've bought. And that's the difference between becoming like a client and a community member. When someone's like a client, they're just here to receive the service and move on. When they're a community member, this is why spaces like school are so important for people in this type of work, creating a community and a space for people to be within my Wordpreneur brand. When they're a community member, they not only have me as the head of the community, they have each other. They have other people within the community they can kind of like connect with, and it becomes like this network. So, and also everyone each identifies as the same, and there's like this commonality from there. So now your turn. Are you building bias or are you building belonging? So have a think about what you're currently doing yourself. What does someone who invests with you regularly believe about themselves? Are you actively reinforcing that identity in your marketing, in the way you speak to people, in the content that you create? Number 2, does your audience know what's always available from you, whether it's seasonal, what can be a seasonal offering from you or like a one-off kind of thing? And what can they earn from staying loyal to you? Is there, if we use the school concept, in the leaderboards, when they hit a certain level in your community, does it unlock something? If it's seasonal, it could be like a quarterly offer that's available that people can upgrade to, or like a launch or something like that, versus what's always available, what's always going to become something they can join at any given time. And just when people understand that, you know that they have moved from a first-time buyer into something a bit more loyal, because they already understand the ecosystem you've built and created. And part of that is based on how clear and how much you communicate yourself as well. All right. And number 3, what could you create? A ritual, a phrase, a shared value that makes your community feel like that type of person. So this is where I say Wordpreneur is like that phrase, that common connection point between everyone, so that they feel like they are a Wordpreneur, right? So that's something that I'm going to keep building upon and making more of a experience. And yeah, so that when people meet each other in the street or online or whatever, they're like, oh, you're a Wordpreneur. And they're like, what's a Wordpreneur? Oh, that's someone that, da, 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 da. And then they invite them into my space. That's the kind of thing that I'm working towards. And this is what you could be doing within your own people as well. So the takeaway here is build the conditions for belonging, and the repeat spend will follow. So identity is the loyalty program. When people identify as a Wordpreneur, that becomes the loyalty program. That becomes those stamps on the coffee card. When they come back for that 10th coffee, they get a free one. That's the sort of thing that this kind of type of way of thinking can create for you. All right. And so then what happened was, after I had all of this swirling around, I landed on this realization. If we go back to what I was originally saying at the very start, I realized that it was really easy for me to step into my marketing day job, my part-time job, because I have a position description. I know what I was hired for, and I know what I need to do when I get to work each day. So I thought, well, what if I created a position description for my job as a sole-led business owner and my career and my business? What if I did that? And I created something for myself, and I want to share my example with you in just a moment, and how you can actually access this for yourself if you would like to explore that for you. But really briefly, we're thinking about this as like the universe has posted a job description on the notice board, and you've gone, I want that job, or that job has been handed to you by the universe. So really, in a nutshell, for me, my position description is my role. I'm a spiritual awakener. The employer is the universe. My KPIs are moving people from awareness to loyal community. And my audience are helpers becoming leaders. You've been doing this job for someone else, and now do it for you. So this is just my thinking. So my example is my light bulb moment. I'd never confused myself about my day job. As I was saying before, I knew my role, my KPIs, my audience. So I wrote the same thing for my business. The universe is my employer. My job is to awaken people to their purpose. So now this is your turn. What would your position description say? What is your role in one sentence? Not your niche, your offer, your actual job, the thing you're here to do. What does the universe need from you or for you to do in order for you to execute on your soul contract, on the reason you're here living this life? What is the reason you're doing everything you're doing? What does the universe want you to achieve? Who is your employer? What bigger purpose or mission hired you to do this work? So I say the universe has hired you is your employer. But now if I break that down a little deeper, it's in very much recent times, it's the Akashic Records. They have, or the record keepers, perhaps even more specifically, they have given me this role to perform in order to awaken people. And that is specifically the mission that I have, is to bring my hypnotic Akashic awakening to millions of people in this lifetime so that more people can awaken to their own unique reasons for being here. And so that's why my role is a spiritual awakener, because I utilize the modality of hypnotic Akashic awakenings to awaken people to their purpose through the Akashic Records. And so my employer would probably be the Akashic Records or the record keepers. Does that make sense? So let's have a look at deeper than the universe, deeper than that. Why are you here? Who has given you this job? And is this like ancestral? Is it past lives? Is it galaxy wide? Is it celestial? Is it from a different universe? Is it from a different planet? Whatever it looks like for you, that's what I want you to consider. And then thirdly, what are your KPIs? So we're not really talking about the same kind of KPIs as maybe your current, if you have had a previous like 9-to-5 job or you currently have one. They're not necessarily as indicative or tangible. They can be, you can make them more tangible, but instead of them being like a revenue goal, because we spend so much time thinking about, I want to make this much money in a year, what would our human outcomes be to tell you that you're doing the job well? So, for example, for me, it's awareness into loyal communities. So moving people, I know that I'm doing my job well if I take them from watching a YouTube video to joining my community to then embedding themselves in the community and like talking with each other, talking with me and connecting with each other, coming to community calls, that sort of thing shows me that I have a loyal community, one person at a time. So what does that look like for you? So the takeaway from here is you already know how to do this job. You've been doing it for someone else. Now do it for yourself. And this doesn't just apply to my example of me being a person that has a part-time job and I'm doing another job for someone else. It also applies to you because you potentially have been performing your job as a business owner for someone else, not for yourself, because of someone that's told you a particular strategy you need to do, from like posting reels or write this email and then do this workflow. And this email goes from this email to the next email to the next email. Like you're performing something for someone else's benefit or reasoning. Whereas if you actually take a step back, look at why you're here, what are you doing on this planet in this lifetime, then we're going to do that for ourselves, not for anyone else, not because of anyone else. We're doing it for our own reasons, which will ultimately benefit the wider community. So I thought that I would share with you how you can get your own position description if you would like to explore this for yourself. So if you would love your own custom soul job description built for you, then you can join the Whippreneur Society for $7 a month. and get your own Claude skill file that you can download and install into your Claude account in order to generate a customized position description for yourself. So I'll show you my example if you're looking at this slide later yourself, because I will give you in the description below the link to access this page so you can go through and review the questions and journal on them or whatever yourself. If you do, you can check out a kind of snapshot of my example of my own position description and just scroll through. You can see an example here, but I want to show you a more in-depth version, the actual one that I got from my Claude conversation. Let me walk you through my position description as a spiritual awakener. And as I said before, my employer is the universe, and I have a couple of categories. And this is the example of what you will see when you install your own the Claude skill file. You can then follow the instructions in that in order to generate this for you. So it'll just ask you some questions and then generate your own position description. So position title is Spiritual Awakener and Soul Business Strategist. You are the bridge between where spiritually minded entrepreneurs are now, their helpers, overwhelmed, unclear, and where they're called to be, initiators, purposeful, leading their own transformations. My employer is the universe. My primary purpose is to awaken spiritually minded business owners to their purpose and help them begin walking their path so they can live in a way that honors and enriches their lives. And then my target audience, again, spiritually minded business owners of varying levels of awakeness, with a focus on those who enable transformations in others and are ready to receive the same for themselves. So that looks like specifically hypnotherapists, healers, coaches, readers, practitioners, those sorts of people. Those kind of people that actually watch and facilitate profound transformations for others. They're people with businesses in early or slow growth stages who are feeling overwhelmed by the helper identity that they've now started to outgrow as well. And those people also wanting an ecosystem, not just a single one offer type of thing. That's not saying necessarily they have to have it all at once. The whole ecosystem doesn't need to be built out at once, but they want to have multiple offers that people move through rather than, I'm just doing this one offer and you can only get that thing and nothing else kind of stuff. And then key responsibilities are to create activations, events, and content that brings awareness to what's possible for the audience through things like reels, videos, blogs, podcasts, interviews, and so on. Deepen the relationship through visitation touch points. So this is where the customer journey comes into it that I was sharing in the other video. So deepen the relationship through visitation touchpoints, email list, free community, school, sales page and landing page, so about page, that kind of thing. One-off sessions if I have them, if I have a one-off audit or oracle card reading or things like that. Converting the first yeses with easy, tasty gateway type offers that feel fun and obvious. They're not heavy or have high friction. Those people are nurtured through repeat and regular spending, through community belonging, through the certification, my membership and other proximity offers, so like other offers that I can do here and there as well. And then to license methodologies so clients can stop being reliant helpers and become empowered initiators within their own ecosystems. So this kind of responsibility is something that I will personally build upon once I have created my own licensed methodology, my Hypnotic Akashic Awakening certification. Once that has a standing in the community and has produced results, at that point then I will teach other people how to do that for themselves. So this is like how I think forward. I don't have to do it all at once, but that is like the roles that I am building towards. My key performance indicators goes through those stages. So we have awareness, visitation, first spend, repeat, and loyal. So moving people from awareness to loyal members or loyal brand consumers. So success in this is measured by human outcomes first, revenue second, and that's my sort of philosophy. Values and operating principles. So strategy meets soul, empowerment over dependency, simplicity is the strategy, and identity first, income second. And then one really great sort of point here is when I start to feel off path. So when things don't feel like as natural, this is things that I can come back to. So I can return to these questions whenever I'm feeling lost, overwhelmed, or feeling like I've drifted away from the work. And so these are, if I wanted to print this off and have on my wall, I could see my position description and I could see those questions that I can ask myself at any time. If I'm journaling and having all those new ideas come through, I can look at this and say, am I increasing awareness in doing this thing, or am I using it to hide from something else? These sorts of questions coming through here. And then it ends with a North Star statement. I was hired by the universe to awaken spiritually minded business owners to their purpose and help them begin walking the path that their soul already knows. So if you would like to access one of these for yourself, make sure you jump into the community in the classroom. You're going to find the Akashic Ascension path, and then over here where strategy meets soul, under that is the universe gave you a job. Look for that. You'll be able to access the slides, and then the skill is here for you to download and then upload into your Claude account. Okay, perfect. So if you would like to explore this for yourself, I would love for you to join Whippreneur Society. Just click here, join for $7 for 1 month. You can cancel anytime, and you'll be able to get access to your own Claude skill in order to create your own position description. I hope to see you inside the community. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out, drop a comment below, or come visit me on school and have a convo. All right. Speak to you soon.